late today. Why? Let's just pretend like my computer fell onto the floor. Hope you're all having a great day. Let's see, why is the chat program not showing up? Let's see. Everything is fixable. Ooh, see, not right. Hope you're all having a fantastic day. Give me just a second to get set up here. While you're waiting, why don't you enter this giveaway? We're giving away $1,000. Might as well go to you, right? Check out pokercoaching.com/Black Friday giveaway for your chance to win. We're giving away $1,000 cold hard cash. You might as well get it. Check it out at pokercoaching.com/Black Friday giveaway. All right. I think we're live. Actually, what happened is they told me 1 p.m. Sometimes we discuss Pacific time. Sometimes we discuss Eastern time. This webinar was actually supposed to be yesterday, but I had to reschedule it, or my team wanted to reschedule it. And I thought it was 24 hours away, but apparently it was 21 hours away. That's okay. We got it. Life happens. So, to compensate, check out pokercoaching.com/Black Friday giveaway. We're giving you $1,000. How about that? I screw up, we give away $1,000. Someone's going to win it. Completely random, but might as well go to you. Today, we're going to be doing something very, very special. We're going to be showing off part of the tournament masterclass. This came out just a few days ago. It's part of Poker Coaching Premium. If you're a Poker Coaching Premium member, you already have full access to it. We're going to be going through a few parts of this, discussing post-flop play. That is what we're going to be discussing. Strategies for crushing tournaments. But we're going to be discussing the pre-flop section. I want to thank all of you for being here today. I appreciate it. Again, as apologies, check out pokercoaching.com/Black Friday giveaway. We're giving away $1,000 cold hard cash. No purchase necessary, none of that. Just check it out. pokercoaching.com/Black Friday giveaway. And we're also giving away 6 months of Poker Coaching Premium. No sound for you. Can you all hear me? Is this functioning properly? If this is functioning properly, type I love JL in the comment section. All right. Brand new Poker Coaching member. You learned so much. Great. I'm glad to hear it. Sounds good. Greetings from Germany. Yes, we're good. All right, fine. That's good enough. That's all I needed. Okay, now we're going to try to do something else different that I've never done, or I rarely do. We're going to try to play the audio from a website, pokercoaching.com. We're going to be discussing, as we can see here. Now let's discuss continuation betting. We're going to discuss continuation betting. So we are actually going to watch 3 parts of the Cash Game Masterclass right here, right now, out of the 180 parts. It's a big course. It's a giant course. 180 parts, okay? Took me like a year to make this thing. Hopefully this functions. And we're going to watch 3 videos. They're about 5 to 10 minutes long each. And then we're going to take a quiz afterwards. We're going to all take the quiz together, okay? So pay attention, listen, let's watch. Let me know if you can hear this. So a continuation bet, or a C-bet, is a post-flop bet made by the pre-flop raiser, the PFR, on the previous betting round. So you're going to find that the PFR... Can you hear this? You can hear this? You can hear me talking right down there? Yeah? Yeah? Good. Our pre-flop raiser is typically checked to. That's just generally what happens, and it's very often what should happen. So you raise pre-flop, our opponent calls in the big blind, they check the flop, now it's on me. Okay, we have to figure out when to continuation bet and how much should we continuation bet. So let's first discuss when you have a stack to pot ratio of 6 or more, which is usually going to be when you're about 40 big blinds deep or more in a heads-up single raised pot. And what I mean by that is, let's say we raise to 2 big blinds, the big blind calls, there's 5 big blinds in the pot, and we have about 36 left, right? 36 divided by 5 or 6 or 7 is, 5 or 6 or 7. So when your 40 big blinds are deeper, this is typically when all of this we're about to discuss applies, and we're going to be discussing how to play shallower stacked a little while later. Okay, so 2 main factors here are our frequency, how often we're betting, and the size we are betting. And you're going to find that in general, the frequency is determined by the hand types, the range advantage, and position. And size is determined by the nut advantage, the range connectivity, and the stack depth. Let me pause it right here. For those who don't know, I've had this goal for a very long time of figuring out essentially a simple, implementable strategy you can use to learn when to bet and how much. And that's what this is. This has taken a long time to develop, a long time to put together, but essentially we have learned how to close enough replicate a game theory optimal, fundamentally sound solver using your brain in a way that you can do it. I've been teaching poker coaching students to do this for quite a while now, and I'm excited to teach all of you how to do it in the Tournament Masterclass. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, we're going to get to all of these. So first, let's discuss frequency, and then after that, we will discuss size. Okay, remember, frequency is determined by hand types, range advantage, and positions. Let's discuss hand types really quick because I'm not showing you that today. There are 4 types of hands, 4 categories of hands you're going to have. Either you're going to have a premium hand that you're happy just getting a lot of money in, a marginal hand, which is something like top pair bad kicker, middle pair good kicker, ace high, etc. That's going to be, that's a marginal hand that you're going to be happy enough with if a little bit of money goes in the pot, but not happy if a lot of money goes in the pot. Then you can have draws. Draws range from really good draws like straight flush draws to really bad draws like backdoor straight draw and flush draw. And then there's junk. Junk is just really bad. So that's the hand types. This was already discussed previously. This is part number 90 out of 180 in this tournament masterclass, okay? So we already discussed some of this. Advantage first. The range advantage is the advantage that one player's range will likely have over his opponent's likely range on any individual board. And on all boards, the preflop raiser will almost always have an absolute range advantage over the PFC, the preflop caller. So, our betting frequency decisions are based on the degree of that advantage, how much of an advantage the preflop raiser has. So if the range advantage is small, or non-existent, you're going to want to be betting way less often. But if the range advantage is large, you're going to want to be betting way more often. All right, so using Equilab, it's a free program, go download it, just Google Equilab, it'll come right up. You can precisely calculate range advantages based on your preflop range and your opponent's preflop range. So for example, let's calculate the preflop's raiser's advantage in position on ace of spades, 7 of clubs, 6 of diamonds. If you run the preflop raiser's range against the big blind caller's range, you'll see that the preflop raiser has about 65% equity, which is very, very large. That's a very high equity advantage. And you're going to find that any like ace high board that's kind of uncoordinated is going to be very, very good for the preflop raiser. Because if you think about it, the preflop raiser's range contains a whole lot of ace king, ace queen, ace jack, ace 10, right? Whereas the preflop caller's range often does not contain all of those hands. Like notice right here, we have the preflop caller's range, pocket 10s to pocket 2s, right? That means they 3-bet aces, kings, queens, and jacks. Notice they don't have ace, king, ace, queen, ace, jack suited because they 3-bet them, right? So this is a scenario where preflop raiser has a huge range advantage. However, let's take a look at a different board. 7 of spades, 6 of spades, 5 of clubs. You see now, exact same range as preflop, but now the preflop range advantage is almost non-existent. It's 53-47, which for all practical purposes is no real range advantage. It's a little bit of a range advantage, but not one that you're just willing to bet because you're in such great shape. So in general, these numbers are kind of rough, but they usually line up. When you have more than a 50% equity range advantage, this is considered a strong advantage. And when you have a strong advantage, you're going to bet most of the time. Sometimes every single time. There are many spots where if you look at the game theory optimal solver, it says to bet with every single hand in your range, and that's because you just don't have very much junk in your range to begin with. Like as a very easy example of this, let's think about ace, king, queen, right? On ace, king, queen, if you raised under the gun, that board is just going to completely hit your range to where you have a lot of top pairs, sets, straight draws, etc. You really don't have any junk or very little junk. Whereas if you think about the big blind caller's range, they have stuff like 9-7 offsuit on ace, king, queen, which is clearly terrible. So there you're going to have a huge range advantage. And when you have a huge range advantage, if you go back to the hand types, you basically have no junk and relatively few draws, which means you have marginal made hands and premium made hands. And when your range is pretty much entirely marginal made hands and premium made hands, you're very, very happy betting. Now, when you have between 50... Oh, why did this pause? Uh-oh.
Now let's discuss continuation betting.
We're going to have to go through and present this on the fly. It's supposed to be like 7 minutes long.
Now let's discuss
let's go.
So many types of boards and no limit hold types
There
to
we
help
go.
you approximate these ranges coming up soon. Range advantage quickly and easily.
Give me just a second. Give me
So,
a second. We were about 5 minutes in. Fine,
pretty
there you go.
frequently. And then when you have a less advantage, like on that 765 board, this is a weak advantage, and that's going to result in you betting less often. So, note about range advantage here. Equilab is the most accurate way to just determine your range advantage quickly and easily. And we are going to use typical board types to help you approximate these ranges coming up soon. That way you don't have to consistently go back and reference Equilab, because there are really only so many types of boards and no limit hold'em. And once you figure out how your hand or your range plays on those boards, you won't have to go back and consistently run this stuff. Because I know a lot of you may be thinking, how in the world am I supposed to remember all of this when I'm playing? And the answer is, you're going to study the common scenarios that come up. And once you understand the common scenarios, you're going to have a very clear idea of how to play in basically every scenario you're in. And we're going to get to that, though. Take it slow. Take your time. Don't rush ahead. We'll get there. Okay. So how does the range advantage relate to the hand types flowchart that we had in the previous section of this course? Well, range advantage is like a superpower that allows you to bet with more hands than only the premium made hands and the draws. So let's go down here to the bottom. With a weak advantage, like on 765, you're going to want to be betting less often, pretty much with only your premium hands and draws. But if you have a little bit more of an advantage, you get to bet a little bit more often. You get to bet with your premium hands, some draws, and a few extra bluffs to some extent, often that come from your marginal made hands or junk range, usually your junk. And then, when you have a strong advantage, you get to bet with nearly everything. Like I said, in those scenarios where you have a huge range advantage, you get to bet with all of your range sometimes. And that is what the game theory optimal solver tells you to do, and it is what you should do. So when you have a big range advantage, you're going to be betting very frequently. And when you do not have a big range advantage, you're going to be betting less often, sometimes to the point that you're betting very close to 0%, which is a bizarre scenario, but we'll be discussing that and discussing the spots where you want to be checking very, very frequently. But in general, you're going to find that it's too hard to go wrong essentially always betting with your premium made hands and draws as the pre-flop raiser when checked to. And then sometimes as your range advantage gets bigger and bigger, you're going to be betting with additional parts of your range.
Okay, one short part here. That's on range advantage. Later, well, not today, but in the tournament course, we go through all of the board types and discuss that thoroughly more. Let's take a quiz real quick, though. After every, or the vast majority of these, there's a quiz. So let's take a quiz. We're going to take it together. What two hand types should we typically continuation bet with in position? Take a second, think about it. You might as well type it in. We have to select two of these. Premium made hands, draws, marginal made hands, or junk. Which two of these do we typically bet in basically all scenarios? Take a second, think about it. Commit to it. Type it in the chat. You'll have to commit to it here whenever we're about to answer this. I'll give you a second to think about it. Premium and marginal, premium and draws. Type in the answer, ship them in here. The first two, premium and draws. Exactly. Take a look. It's listed right here. We're essentially always betting with premium made hands and draws, right? You're not always betting your marginal hands, because when you bet your marginal hands, what's going to happen is, what does that do to your checking range? Your checking range is a bunch of draws and junk. That makes you really, really weak when you check, which is really, really bad. So we're going to be betting our premium made hands and draws. Select those. Choose. We got it right. Give it a little bit of an explanation. Click next. We have more questions. True or false? As a player's range advantage goes up, they should continuation bet more frequently. What do you think? I'm writing a note to myself. I need an apostrophe right here. All right. The answer is true. Well, 99.9% of the time. As the range advantage grows up, you get to continuation bet more frequently. There actually are a few weird corner cases, like when you completely lack the nut advantage, but we'll talk about that later. If we consider that greater than 58% is a strong range advantage, which of these types of hands should we be continuation betting when we have a strong range advantage? Okay, assuming we're in good shape, what should we be betting? Select all that applies. You can select more than just one. When you have a giant range advantage, what should you be betting? You still don't understand the first question is why it's premium and draws. Did you not watch the first? You must have just showed up. We literally just went through it. Correct answer here is going to be all of them. Remember, say it right here, right? When we have a strong advantage, this is just straight from the video. All these questions are straight from the video. Whenever we have a strong advantage, we bet with nearly everything. When we have a weak advantage, we bet just premium and draws. Strong advantage, though, bet nearly everything. Okay? We got it. Correct. We got him. 3 for 3. Okay. Let me just refresh this page because it looks like I've had these up all morning. Maybe they reset or something. Give me just a second. All right. Bet sizing. All right. We're going to watch another video, then we're going to take some more quizzes, okay? Now let's discuss bet sizing. And bet sizing is primarily determined by the nut advantage, range connectivity, and stack depth. We're going to cover all those in just a second. However, there's also a general relationship between your frequency, how often you're betting, and your bet size. And in general, it's not always true, but in general, as you bet more frequently, you generally want to bet using a smaller size, often quite small, especially as your stack gets shallow, maybe 33% pot or less. And as you're betting less frequently, you generally want to be betting bigger, something like 50% to 100% pot, sometimes even more. So let's talk about nut advantage. The nut advantage is the idea that one of the two players will have the nut advantage when they have more combinations of premium hands, which is usually going to be 2-pair or better, than their opponent on any given board. And when you have the nut advantage, when you're in great shape, right, you typically want to be betting larger. And when you don't have the nut advantage, assuming you are going to bet, you typically want to be betting smaller. So let's take a look at a few simple examples of this. Let's say under the gun raises and the big blind calls. Okay? On ace, king, jack, take a second, think about who has more premium hands. Well, we have these two range images here, right? This is the under the guns raising range. This is the big blind's calling range. On ace, king, jack, who has more nut hands? Take a second, think about it. Well, as you see here, under the gun has all the sets. Notice big blind does not have aces, kings, or jacks in their range, so they don't have any of the sets. Under the gun has ace, king, and ace, jack, right? Big blind does have ace, jack, but they don't have ace, king. Both players have some queen tens in their range. Although, you know, big blind does have queen 10 offsuit, but that's not that big of a deal given they have all this other junk. It's important to realize that whenever the vast majority of your range is just really bad, and if you look at big blind's range, the vast majority of their range is really, really bad, that's going to result in the big blind just not having much of a nut advantage for the most part. Especially when under the gun also has some very, very strong hands like sets and top pairs and 2 pairs and all that, right? So in this scenario, under the gun has a substantial nut advantage. However, what about on Jack 5-5? Well, on Jack 5-5, take a look at this. Who has more 5s in the range? Because a 5 is clearly nuts. Everything else is, you know, weaker than a 5. You see, under the gun here actually has almost no 5s in their range. They have exactly ace-5 suited, whereas the big blind has all these 5s. So here, this is a scenario where even though the big blind's range is still quite junky, they have a lot of stuff like, you know, queen 9 offsuit and whatnot. They also have a lot of super strong hands that pretty much crush all of under the gun's range. So this is a spot where even though under the gun has the range advantage, because they have a lot of strong over cards, or strong over pairs, ace highs, etc., the big blind has the nut advantage. So this is a scenario where big blind will get to play quite aggressively if they check and under the gun bets, because if they check raise in that scenario, big blind essentially has all the premium hands, whereas under the gun does not. So in this scenario,
the big blind would have the nut advantage. And you can use some logic to figure out who has the nut advantage on various boards. Typically, big card boards like Ace King Jack, also uncoordinated boards like Jack 4-2. These all favor the initial preflop raiser, whereas the lower connected boards and lower paired boards like 8-7-5, those favor the big blind caller because they have a lot of low junky connected hands, right? Okay, so that's the nut advantage. Next, range connectivity. This is the idea of how strongly the board hits your opponent's likely continuing range. And when your opponent's continuing range connects better with the board, you want to bet larger. And when it connects worse with the board, you typically want to bet smaller. And I want to make this clear. This really only applies when you have the range advantage, but it is an important concept. It kind of goes hand in hand with nut advantage. Let me give you an example of this. Actually, two examples. All right, so let's say you raise under the gun and the big blind calls on Ace King Jack. You're under the gun. Big blind checks. Should we bet large or should we bet small? Well, what you want to ask here is how well did the hands that the opponents, or how well are the hands in the opponent's range that are going to continue connect with the board? Are these hands pretty strong or are they pretty junky? Well, on Ace King Jack, if your opponent is going to call a bet, it's almost always going to be with an ace, which is pretty good, a king, which is pretty good, or a jack, which is fine enough. So in this scenario, you should actually bet using a pretty large size. And that's because when your opponent does call, it's with a pair. People don't like folding pairs, right? However, think about on Jack 6-2. Well, on Jack 6-2, now the opponent should be calling with lots of stuff like ace high and king high and backdoor flush draws and whatnot because the board is so uncoordinated. And if you think of those hands are actually all pretty weak. And in that scenario, you're going to want to bet using a small size, and that's because the opponent's range that they're going to continue with is just generally weak across the board. So as their range is going to essentially appear stronger to them, but you still beat that range, you want to be betting big. So going back to example 1, on Ace King Jack, if your opponent check calls with King 7, and you go back and think about under the gun's range, King 7 is actually in pretty bad shape against under the gun's range, right? So you don't really care if your opponent puts in lots of money in those scenarios. So you want to be betting bigger when the opponent's range connects better with the board, and you want to be betting smaller when it does not. Next, stack depth. So as the stacks are deeper, you want to bet larger. And that's because you need to bet larger to have the potential to get your opponent's entire stack in, or your entire stack in, by the river. And when stacks are shallower, you should typically bet smaller. And that's because when you're shallower, you want to protect your stack, and you also don't need to bet large to get all of your money in by the river. There is an exception to this when stacks are really short, like 10 big blinds or something like that, where you start to go all in. But right now we're talking about 40-ish big blind poker or deeper. Okay, so let's put all of this together and think about the range advantage flowchart. That's what we're going to call this. This is going to tell you how often you should bet and what size you should bet. So let's take this slowly. Frequency. Let's start over here first. Your frequency is first off determined whether or not you're in position or out of position. Okay, let's look at in position first. This is when we raise, someone out of position calls, like in the big blind. Okay, what is our range advantage? Is it strong, moderate, or weak? Well, if it's strong, like let's say the flop comes King Jack 2, we know that that board's better for the in position raiser. We're gonna have a big range advantage. Okay, that's gonna move us over here to range advantage, yes or no? The answer would be yes. What about on 8-5-3, 3 spades? It's moderate. Do we have the range advantage? It's kind of in the middle. We're gonna want to be betting with our premium made hands, draws, and bluffs. This would generally just fall into the no category. When we're betting, we want to bet with a larger size. And then if we have a weak range advantage, we're going to be, do we have the range advantage? No. We're going to want to be betting using a small size. Notice we have this Jack 6-6 board. We're going to talk about this a little bit later. When we do not have the nut advantage at all, you're going to want to check more often. So even though we have the range advantage on Jack 6-6, it's kind of a special case that you're going to want to be checking that more often. We'll show you that later, though. Don't worry about that. Okay. Next, when you're out of position, as you see, you're never going to have a strong range advantage because, you know, when you raise and someone calls in position, the ranges are always at least somewhat close. When you have a moderate range advantage, you're going to want to be betting, you know, sometimes. So again, the answer is essentially no. And when you have a weak range advantage, the answer is again no. Okay, so now that we know how to navigate this side of the chart, let's look at bet sizing. Do we have the range advantage? If we do not, we already know we're going to be betting with just our best made hands and our draws, perhaps a few additional bluffs, right? So whenever we are betting with a polarized range, pretty much across the board, we're going to want to bet using a large size. That's just good, fundamentally sound poker. When you're betting infrequently, you're betting your best made hands in your draws. When you're betting your best made hands in your draws, you want to bet big. Okay, what if we do have the range advantage, though? Like on these very good boards, or perhaps, these moderate boards where we are in very good shape. In that scenario, you next want to ask, do I have the nut advantage? If you have the nut advantage and the answer is no, you're going to want to bet using a small size. So an example of this is, let's say we raise, someone calls, flop comes, let's say queen, queen, 5. We have a big range advantage, but we may not actually have a big nut advantage because perhaps both players' ranges contain a decent number of queens, all right? In that scenario, we should be betting frequently, but we should be betting using a small size because we don't necessarily have the nut advantage. We have the range advantage, we want to bet frequently, but we don't have the nut advantage. Instead, let's say we have the nut advantage. Let's say the flop comes ace, king, jack like we talked about before. The answer is yes. Next, you ask how well does the opponent's range connect with the board? I know this is a lot of steps, take it slow. How well does the opponent's range connect with the board? If it connects very well with the board, the hands that will continue, like on ace, king, jack, we just discussed, an ace is not folding and a king's not folding, right? In that scenario, you want to bet big. However, let's say the board is jack 4-2, and our opponent's range does not connect well with the board, but we have the range advantage and we have the nut advantage, because on jack 4-2, no one really has any good hands, so over pairs become the nuts. Now we would want to bet small. So you see, this is really just a flowchart you can go through, right? Where in every scenario, you should ask, how often do we want to be betting? Right? What percentage of the time? And then, what size should we use? And then you will generally know how you want to play the various hands in your range when determining your bet size and your frequency. And that is very important. If you can do this on a regular basis and you go through this process, you're going to be able to navigate the vast majority of poker situations you encounter pretty well. You may not always make the absolute perfect decision, but you're going to make, the best or the second best decision. And it turns out if you can make the best or second best decision in essentially every spot, you're going to be way ahead of basically everyone else in the game. So make sure you understand this flowchart, print it out, reference it, and we're going to continue discussing it as we move forward throughout this course. Okay, I know there's a lot of material there. All right. A few people ask questions. What do you mean you don't have the range advantage when you're out of position? By the way, whenever you're out of position, that means like you raise under the gun and the button calls. You have to understand, when you raise under the gun and the button calls, the button's calling with like pretty good hands, right? So no one really has much of a range advantage in those scenarios. I actually discussed this between the first video and second video that I gave you. Again, this is like, these videos are not even in order. Maybe the first one was number 90, this is like number 93. Because remember, we didn't cover position, which is actually important. So when you are out of position, you typically you have to check sometimes because you never have a gigantic range advantage, okay? Man up and play cash games. Oh, I play plenty of cash games. We have a cash game masterclass on the site already. I'm actually going to go back and remake it. Someone said that some of this content is similar to the cash game class, which is true to some extent. However, the cash game class is about 6 hours long. I'm actually going to go back and substantially make it since we've learned how to teach all of you a little bit better. And this one's about 30 hours long. So there's a lot more content in this, a lot more in depth. Let's take some quizzes. Which of the following factors affect bet sizing? Nut advantage, range advantage, or stack depth? We can select all that apply. We have an example where the opponent has the range advantage. Well, we're about to go through a specific scenario. I actually go through, I don't even know, 8 or 10 flops for all the scenarios, like in 3-bet pots, heads-up pots, out of position, in position. I go through a lot of this. We'll see in just a second. Here, pretty sure it's all of them. Let's select all of them. We got it right. All 3 do affect it. True or false? As you bet more frequently, you should increase your bet size to 50% to 100% pot. True or false? A lot of you are paying attention in the chat. I'm glad to see it. If you're paying attention, click like. I would appreciate it. As you bet more frequently, you should increase your bet size. Seems like a lot of you are getting it. 30 hours for tournament, 6 hours for cash makes sense. Well, you have to understand we went way more in depth
this time. We're going to go through and remake the cash game course. I imagine it's going to be equally long. This is false because as you're betting more often, you typically want to be betting smaller. Not always, but typically. So this is going to be false. True or false? When you have the nut advantage, you should bet larger. What course is this? This is the Tournament Masterclass. It just came out the other day. It's part of Poker Coaching Premium. Someone asked, where do you find this? Go to pokercoaching.com, click on Courses, click on Tournament Masterclass. It just came out. Is this video going to be posted? It's always on YouTube. Yeah, this will be on YouTube. When you have the nut advantage, should you bet larger? The answer is yes. I think it's yes. Yes. A player with a nut advantage has more combinations of premium hands, allowing you to bet bigger on those boards. When you have the nut advantage, when your opponent's just in terrible shape, that usually results in you betting larger. Usually. Not always, but usually. Next. Under the gun +1 raises, and the big blind calls, 40 big blinds deep. Who has the nut advantage on king, ace, 5? Under the gun or the big blind? Oh yeah, this is included in Poker Coaching Premium, by the way. If you're a premium member, this is just included. No upcharge or anything like that. We're not trying to charge you $1,500 for the course. There's a lot of people out there who are charging $1,500 for a 6-hour course. We have 30-hour courses, very in-depth, go through lots and lots of spots, and it's just included in the membership. Does this apply to overbets? Does what apply to overbets? Probably, yes. I mean, whenever you're betting larger, we actually discussed that on the turn, actually. There's a lot of spots where you overbet the turn and overbet the river. This is just this specific, again, this is one part out of 180, okay? We definitely do talk about overbets, though. Under the gun +1 here, very clearly. All right, we got him, 4 out of 4. Let's go through one more part, and then I'll talk to you about the Black Friday sale. Let me refresh this page, just in case something happened with it. Give me just a second. All right, here we go. Now let's discuss a very uncoordinated flop. I actually go through and discuss 8 or 9 different types of flops, ranging from really good for the pre-flop raiser to really bad. We just selected one here, okay? We go through this process for lots of flops, in position, out of position, 3-bet pots, 4-bet pots, all sorts of spots, okay? Jack 6-2. So you raise under the gun +1, big blind calls, flop comes Jack 6-2. This is a scenario where I can already tell you we're gonna have a big range advantage, right? Because if you think about it, I actually show you how to go through and make these images so that you can figure out how to categorize all your hands. The hands in red are premium, hands in blue are draws, hands in green are marginal, hands in gray, which there are none clearly selected here, but it's all of these that are not selected are junk. But I go through all this in the class. I explain how to do this. We're raising with mostly good hands. Our opponent's calling with mostly bad hands in the big blind. And this board is very much uncoordinated. So we're going to have lots of reasonably high equity hands in this scenario. Going through and categorizing our hands, probably Jack 10 or better is a strong value hand. Worse made hands are marginal. Notice we have Ace King and Ace Queen listed as a marginal hand here. And that's because if I did happen to check this, I would definitely call a turn bet with it on virtually every turn because these hands are often best. And if they're not the best, they usually have 6 clean outs to a good hand, right? So these are marginal hands in this scenario. Sometimes ace high is marginal, sometimes it's not. And then I have even like ace 10 listed as marginal for the same reason. And here we have a lot of other ace X's, which I also have listed as marginal if they do not have a backdoor flush draw. I listed all the backdoor flush draws here as draws because, again, we need to try to find some draws. But this range is so good to the point that even using literally every backdoor flush draw, I don't have anywhere near enough draws. So this is a spot where we have a big range and nut advantage. As you see, solver bets very, very frequently, which makes a lot of logical sense. All right, let's take a look at button versus big blind. Are we in that same scenario? Someone's mentioning is Jack's marginal. I actually discussed this as well in a different video. Top set's a hand you very often want to check because very often if you are going to have a checking range, top set almost always fits in there. So it's classified as marginal because you're checking it, but it's not actually marginal. Well, maybe we are, maybe we aren't. Let's go through and categorize the hands. Notice that I have most good jacks and better value betting. We have all of the pairs and ace highs listed as marginal. The lower pairs listed as marginal. Up to slow play the pocket jacks. I think that's fine. You don't have to slow play. Slow playing top set is sometimes fine, and I don't have a problem with it one way or the other.
Solver seems to slow play seemingly randomly, but I'm sure it has some logic behind it. Then I'm betting basically any cards that have overcards to the jack that also have an overcard to the 6, like Queen 7, for example, right? We're using that as a draw. We're using all of these backdoor flush draws as draws. And as you see, we have to search kind of hard to find anywhere near enough draws in this scenario. We can have up to 36% draws. We can't really find it. Notice that we also have more premium made hands compared to junk than necessary. So again, that's going to indicate the fact that we're going to have a solid range advantage in this scenario.
We didn't cover this today, but on the flop, you can have up to 2 draws to every 1 premium hand, right? So that's 18 times 2 is 36. Notice we have less than 36% draws, which kind of indicates we have a bit of a range advantage. And marginal made hands to junk, you typically want 70% marginal made hands to 30% junk. Less is fine. And as we see here, we have just a little bit too many marginal made hands as well, which again indicates a range advantage.
Let's, however, see what the solver does. Solver notes that we don't have a huge range advantage, but we have some, and therefore it elects to check 22% of the time. I can tell you, in practice, you're just going to want to bet this flop pretty much every single time. And the reason is because the vast majority of players out of position in this scenario are not going to check raise you nearly often enough. Like if you give most players the 10-9 of spades, they're just going to check fold. But in reality, they probably should be check raising a decent amount of the time. And that would put you in a tough scenario. But most people just check call and then check fold a lot on the turn. So this is a spot where I would generally recommend you deviating from the solver a little bit and betting every time instead of only 78% of the time. 78% of the time is still quite a bit. All right, now we have the scenario again where we're out of position. Here we raise under the gun +1 and the button calls. Flop comes Jack 6-2. This is a board that should connect decently well with the button calling range, right? Because they're going to be calling a lot of good, strong, big cards. A lot of those contain a jack. So we have to be somewhat selective when it comes to betting. Notice in this scenario, if I go through and categorize the hands again, we end up with a marginal made range that is pretty strong, that can very confidently check call, and a junk range that can reasonably check fold. Notice before I said that ace-10 offsuit, if we go back to the previous scenario where we were in position, I had ace-10 offsuit listed as a marginal hand. That's because if I let it go check-check in position, I can easily call a turn bet. Here, though, from out of position, I don't think we can realistically check call flop, or if we do check call flop, we certainly can't check call turn. So we do need to perhaps adjust our range a little bit when we go from in position to out of position. Your marginal made hands in position, when you're out of position, those hands are going to become a little bit weaker. So the weakest marginal made hands are going to become junk, which is why we have like these ace highs that may be able to call in position become junk out of position. So that's what we're doing in this scenario. We are going to be doing a decent amount of checking, 46%. And it turns out solver also does a decent amount of checking. Notice when it does bet, it's betting using a bigger size, because when it is betting, it usually has a pretty strong range. And that's going to have the button caller in pretty bad shape. Like notice ace, jack, aces, kings, queens, etc. So this is a spot where you cannot bet every time, and you certainly do need to check. Notice the hands that often check are going to be a lot of ace high type hands. A lot of jacks are still checking some portion of the time. Again, very mixed strategy out of the solver, which you'll always see when you're out of position, which is why it's kind of difficult to implement. But doing something like this makes a lot of logical sense, right? You're betting your best hands, betting your draws, and checking the marginal hands and junk. And this is going to be a pretty strong strategy that's going to work well against basically everyone. I will say, though, if you wanted to exploit your opponents, let's say you know the player on the button calls a lot pre-flop, but then folds too often on the flop. This may just be a scenario where you should be betting with everything, because your opponent's range connectivity is going to be so bad. Because a lot of people are going to be sitting here with hands like King 10 or 9-8 suited, and they're just going to fold to a bet. And if you can make your opponents fold those hands to one bet on the flop, then you might as well blast it. I'm sure if you ran this through the solver and you said the opponent folds too often, the solver would recommend, instead of betting, how much is it betting again? Instead of betting, call it 64% of the time, it would probably say bet 100%. So on these uncoordinated boards, it's kind of hard to be too aggressive unless your opponent is going to fight fire with fire by raising your bets very frequently, which most people don't do. All right, so then throughout this course, we also discuss how to play this scenario when you call on the button and your opponent bets. We're going to be discussing raising in all these spots, right? We also discuss how to play out of position. It's not just very, very weak. So, all right, let's take a quiz. Again, this is only 3 parts out of the 180. When you are under gun +1 versus big blind,
You should be betting your entire range on this board. Jack 6-2. What do you think? True or false? While you're thinking about it, Jeff asked, what about check raising versus aggressive opponents? Sure, I actually do discuss check raising in this. I discuss how to implement it. I discuss why using the implementable strategy, we often check raise a little bit less, but our check raising range has a little bit more equity than the solver's does, which is very, very relevant, right? It also helps make the strategy substantially more implementable. When you're betting under the gun, or if you're under the gun +1 versus big blind, you should be betting your entire range on this board. Yeah, you should be. Definitely. We have a big range advantage. Easy spot to bet frequently. Notice here we have over 60% equity, so we should just be betting with our entire range. We went through this in the video. All right, when you're under the gun +1 versus big blind, which hand should use the large bet size? Queens, jacks, or both? I don't actually even know the answer to this one. Queens, yeah. Queens, you don't want to use top set as a big bet typically because it blocks many of your opponent's continuing ranges. Or their continuing range, right? Whenever you have queens, though, your opponent can have all the jacks, and that results in them being very, very dominated, and they're just never going to fold, right? You don't want to be betting huge with top set basically ever. Let's go over here. Look, top set mostly checks or bets. Can you see it? In this scenario, out of position, top set basically checks or bets small the majority of the time. So it typically takes you bet small because your opponent, and whenever you have jacks, it's harder for your opponent to have something really good, right? Whereas whenever you have queens, they can still have a jack that you're crushing. Notice here, queens bets big virtually every time, or the majority of the time, right? Whereas jacks is not. Okay? Hope you're all learning something. Sometimes I don't even know the answer to this stuff. All right, on queen 6-2, you should check more often when out of position. You should check more often when out of position is the pre-flop raiser. Should probably clarify this question. Then what? Then what? Then when in position? Jack 6-2. From out of position, you should check more often. I presume you mean as the pre-flop raisers. We're going to click true. Yeah, you should check more often when you're out of position due to having less equity and the positional disadvantage. Okay? Whenever you're out of position, you have to do some checking. You must do some checking when you are out of position. What course is this? This is the Tournament Masterclass. All right, good. We went through 3 parts for you here today. Hope you enjoyed it. Again, we are giving away $1,000 in cash plus 6 months of Poker Coaching Premium. Make sure you get in that giveaway at pokercoaching.com/Black Friday giveaway. I'm about to go through our Black Friday sale. I've seen a bunch of you already type in various payment questions, options, etc. If you have any questions, understand, I'm a little bit too busy right now to answer all of them. Send an email to support@pokercoaching.com and they will try to answer it for you. All right, Black Friday sale. What do we have going on? 78% off. Well, up to 78% off. Many of the content we have here. Like I said, we just released the brand new Tournament Masterclass. It goes through pre-flop strategies, post-flop strategies. The river stuff is like really exciting, really new. I've never seen anyone present it like this before. And it teaches you to play good, fundamentally sound poker and how to adjust in order to maximize your equity and crush your opponents. It also discusses other topics like tells, mindset, bankroll management. I go through a bunch of various tournament wins that I've had recently. I have, I can't remember them off the top of my head. Multiple regular tournaments, multiple PKO tournaments, multiple satellites. We discuss all of that in this course. This is meant to be an all-inclusive tournament course. This is not just how to play with no ICM considerations. We also discuss ICM extensively. Lots and lots and lots of stuff there. Okay? By the way, this tournament class is not for sale. You can only get it by being a Poker Coaching Premium member. But if you're a Poker Coaching Premium member, in addition to all the other stuff we have at pokercoaching.com, you get free access to this. It's included, right? Like I said here, we have intro and fundamentals. Here we have basically a table of contents, right? We discuss tournament structures, we discuss equity, pot odds, ranges, we combine the 3, discuss all of that. We discuss implementable strategies versus GTO. many more things. Pre-flop. Oh my goodness, we have lots and lots and lots of pre-flop content here. Lots of pre-flop charts, lots of ranges, but also strategies to help you remember these types of things, right? So we discuss all sorts of stack depths. As you can see, every section here has all of these sections within, right? Facing limpers, facing a pre-flop raise, facing a pre-flop raise and a call. When you call and get 3-bet, facing a 3-bet, facing a 4-bet, we discuss all of this for all of the various stack depths as it makes logical sense. Then we have the flop. Oh my goodness. The flop is, it was a lot of work. We're going to call it a masterpiece though, because it really is, it's good. It teaches you essentially how to play fundamentally sound poker in all sorts of spots. As you see, we go through all of these types of boards. Like we just did that Jack 6-2. We go through all of these types of boards so that you understand how to play these various scenarios. We also discuss common mistakes. A lot of people mess this up. Remember all these scenarios? How many do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. For each of these, as a pre-flop caller in check 2, 8 examples. When facing a bet, 8 examples. When facing a check raise, 8 examples, right? Exploitative adjustments, all sorts of stuff like this. We discuss 3-bet pots. We discuss 4-bet pots. We discuss short stack strategy, right? Then we get to the turn. We go through lots of spots again. Continuation betting turn, facing a bet, probe bets, delayed continuation bets. Lots and lots of examples so you understand how to develop that fundamentally sound strategy so you can implement this at the table. We also discuss leading the turn. Very, very important stuff there. Most people never lead the turn, but you actually should be leading the turn sometimes, right? We also discuss playing in 3-bet pots, playing multi-way on the turn, etc. Then we get to the river. The river is very, very in-depth. I wish I could go through it here, but we don't have any time. It essentially discusses how to structure your betting and checking ranges so that you can play a fundamentally unexploitable strategy, and then how to adjust to take advantage of whatever your opponent does wrong. We discuss betting in position, exploiting your opponent, tournament adjustments, because you don't really want to be blasting your stack and all that often in tournaments, because when you fail, you lose. We discuss facing a check raise on the river, playing multi-way on the river, etc. So, also, as part of Poker Coaching Premium, or if you want to buy this one, we have the 29 lesson cash game masterclass. This is definitely going to teach you to beat games like 5-10 No Limit Live. It's a game that I've played a very, very long time. I had great success in it when I used to play it a lot. And my students have been using this cash game masterclass, and many are already reporting very, very excellent win rates. So that's exciting to me. We also have other additional cash game courses, such as beating loose live games, right? I know a lot of you play very, very loose, splashy games. We have a course on that. We have a course on crushing tough cash games, like online games where people play pretty well, right? We also have additional tournament courses at Poker Coaching. Again, all of this is just included in Poker Coaching Premium. Like, there's no upcharge or anything for this. It's just all included. We have a bigger 109 win that I played recently. We have a Montreal Masterclass where I discussed going through a deep run I had in Montreal recently. We have me reviewing some hands from the $1 Million Buy-In Triton Tournament. Lots and lots of content there. Here's Blas Zerjow. He turned $5 into $1.3 million a few years ago. He's one of our poker coaching students, has been for a long time. And also, just recently, he had a $100 tournament and satellited that into another $400K. He's absolutely crushing it. Says this has helped lay strong foundations to excel in No Limit Hold'em and to further work on his game with my help. Blas is a great student. He works hard. He has his life together. And, well, now he's rich. Also, here are all of our coaches. We put out a lot of content at Poker Coaching every month. We have myself, Faraz Jaka. You may know him. He doesn't have a home, but he has a lot of money. We have James Romero. He was one of the top 10 live tournament players before COVID happened. Now he's just crushing online. We have Bert Stevens. He actually streamed just the other day. He's won 2 or 3 EPTs so far in the last week or two, so congrats to him. He also won the $10,000 tournament on GG just the other day. Him and Michael Acevedo, you see him here, he wrote Modern Poker Theory. They went through his $10,000 win for $400-something thousand bucks the other day over the course of a few streams. That was great. We have Brad Wilson, one of our newest coaches. He plays primarily cash games. He has a lot of great content there. And we have many, many other coaches. I mean, Jonathan Jaffe, in my mind, he may be the best player that you all probably do not know. If you don't know him, he's an absolute crusher. And I've learned a ton from him. We have Matt Affleck. He is a workhorse. He essentially has study streams with the Poker Coaching Premium members
pretty much every week. He has a stream every week where he goes through and explains all sorts of spots. Basically, whatever you all ask him to study, he'll study it with you. And like things like, how do you play from the big blind when you're 20 big blinds deep in the spot? How do we play game theory optimal strategies? How do we exploit, etc.? Like I said, Michael Acevedo, the GTO expert. He wrote the book Modern Poker Theory. He helped get PioSolver off the ground. He is an expert in Munker Solver. He is the go-to guy for all GTO stuff. He has all sorts of great GTO content at pokercoaching.com. We have Evan Jarvis Gripst, Lexi Gavin. She plays lots of cash games and tournaments as well. Alex Fitzgerald probably coached more people than anybody else in the world. And Tristan Wade, another world-class poker player and coach. We have over 1,000 quizzes at pokercoaching.com. It's a lot of quizzes. Essentially, I put you in a scenario, ask you how to play the spot, and then you get feedback immediately. Like in this example here, this person messed up the flop, right? Good to know. If it turns out you're really bad at the flop, maybe you need to do a little bit of studying on the flop, right? What else do we have? Oh, here we have 1,000 quizzes, as you can see. Loads and loads and loads. You'll get scores like this. You may see that you're really bad at the river, for example, and you can go through and study the river. We have tons of courses, by the way. I'm not even sure or tons of classes. I'm not sure if I'm going to discuss it here today, but in Poker Coaching Premium, we have hundreds of classes on specific topics, where you see we have a search bar here. In the classes, you can just search. Like, let's say you know you're bad at the river. You can search river, and it'll bring up all sorts of river strategies and videos about that. Essentially, anytime Poker Coaching members ask me a question, if there's not already a video that answers it, I make a 20 or 30 minute video on that specific topic so that those players don't mess that up in the future. Essentially, we have a gigantic encyclopedia of content, right? To where this is all you need to crush poker, and our students are doing it. We have over 300 classes by not just myself, but also many other world-class players, as we see, like Faraz Jaka here, $5,000 buy-in main event review. Michael Acevedo recently, flop check-raising strategies, GTO strategies. Here we have Jonathan Jaffe. These two players play very differently. Michael Acevedo is like a GTO robot. Jonathan Jaffe is like a super blaster, very exploitative. You have to realize, I am hiring people to be coaches at Poker Coaching who I want to learn from, which is, kind of valuable. It's good for me and good for you. We hire people who I also want to learn from. So here you can get a Poker Coaching membership. That gives you access to some of the content on the site, not all of it. This is the lower price membership, normally $39 per month. But if you want to buy a year or 2 years or 3 years in advance, you can see you get a substantial discount. If you sign up for 3 years of Poker Coaching, you can get it for $299. What's that, the price of like 10 months? Goodness, that's a big discount. I have to write a note to say don't give such big discounts. So definitely check that out. And for Poker Coaching Premium members, they get access to all of this stuff as well. They also get the 30-day tournament challenge, where every day I send you a piece of content for you to go through. And by the end of 30 days, you're going to be a whole lot better at poker. It turns out if you develop good study habits and you make a point to actually sit down and work hard at your poker game, even 15, 20 minutes a day, you will get a whole lot better at poker. Our students are proof of this is happening. And it makes me excited to see them actually developing good study habits and improving their skills. For cash game players, we have the 14-day cash game challenge as well. So check that out. And for the first time ever, we're actually going to allow Poker Coaching Premium as a 3-year subscription for less than the price of Poker Coaching Standard, for the standard membership. Remember, it normally costs $39 for the standard membership. But now you can get Poker Coaching Premium if you want to sign up for 3 years in advance for $1,399. So check that out. PokerCoaching.com/Black Friday. Also, of course, the Tournament Masterclass, which we went through 3 parts out of the 180, is included in that. I try to make this stuff affordable for you. Look, I realize $1,399 is a little bit expensive. It's a little bit pricey. But if you realize, you don't only get everything we've discussed about today, but also we're going to keep making content for the next, at least 3 years. And you got to realize, we are spending tons of money on content. I think we did a tally the other day. I've spent something like $200,000 on content for the other coaches, not even counting any money that I get from this. It's a lot of money we're spending on coaching, and it's all there for you if you are a member. Like I said, $39 a month. That's like $1.25 a day, or $1.33 a day. Listen,
Real talk here. If you are a poker player and you care about winning at poker, you need to get educational content. Otherwise, you're just wasting your time. It'd be like if I wanted to become a doctor and I thought I was going to become a doctor by going and chopping people up and trying to learn while I'm chopping the people up. No, you should probably go to school and study a little bit. There's not a formal poker school, but we've made one at Poker Coaching. And, well, it costs a lot of money to get a medical degree, but it turns out a poker degree is substantially cheaper. And if you go through the content at Poker Coaching, you will basically have a poker degree by the time you're done. So anyway, costs about $39 a month, $1 and change per day. Like I said, I mean, if you care about poker at all, getting even 10 minutes of coaching a day is from world-class players is worth at least $1, right? I mean, it's $1, come on. And that's what we're going for here. We have essentially infinite content. We're going to continue producing loads of content. Basically, every day there's a webinar of some sort for Poker Coaching Premium members. And that's what we're going for here. I see all of you have a bunch of questions. Can you send $1 per day? No. This is how I learned to be a doctor, by chopping people up. Exactly. Chop, chop. That's what a lot of people actually try to do at the poker table. They think, oh, I'm going to learn while I'm playing, and I'm going to get some experience, then I'm going to know what to do. Hate to break it to you. It's a good way to, well, if you play it infinite years, I guess you get good eventually. But it's a great way to light your money on fire. You'd really torch a lot of money. I'd rather you not torch your money. I'd rather you win at poker. And poker coaching is the way to go about doing that. Again, Tournament Masterclass just came out. I'm really proud of it. It took a lot of work, a lot of effort. It's all up on the site. Someone asked if it's all there because we had coming soon for a little while we were uploading it. We let the premium members go ahead and get an early preview. But it's all up on the site now as far as I know. We may still tinker with things here and there, like if, I don't know, someone says they hate spelling. Say we have something spelled wrong. I saw an apostrophe was missing earlier. So, I mean, we're going to continue to improve it and upgrade it. But it's all there, ready for you to hop in. I know Louis Philippe said he's already gone through a bunch of it, which is great. So if you have any other questions, like how much is 1 year of premium, well, go to pokercoaching.com/Black Friday. Let's see if I can go there right now. Let's see if I can make it work. I'm sure oh, this took me to the giveaway. I don't want to go to the giveaway. Make sure you get in the giveaway, by the way, pokercoaching.com/Black Friday giveaway. Let's see if I can turn this off. Okay. Oh, I see what happened. It took me to the giveaway because I went to the giveaway last. All right, here we go. What we're going to do, screen capture. Let's do something like this. How's this look? Is that going to look good enough? I think this will work. pokercoaching.com/Black Friday. Get in there. All right. Cut this kind of poorly. That's okay. You'll survive. All right. So, as you see, Tournament Masterclass is here. And yes, can you get a year of this? Yes, you can get a year. Here we discuss the benefits of Poker Coaching Premium and the standard membership. You can get 1 year of Poker Coaching Premium for $649. You save $539 off the normal price. You can also get the standard membership at a nice discount as well. You can get 2 years for $1,199, or you can get 3 years for $1,399. Save $2,165. Like we said, $39 a month. It's billed one time immediately. By the way, if you don't like any of my content, let me know within 30 days of signing up, and I'll give you a complete refund. There are a lot of training sites out there that, it's going to sound bad in my mind, they're a little bit predatory. And if you buy something, they'll say, nope, you took a look at it, we're not giving you a refund. If you honestly think the work I've done at Poker Coaching does not benefit you, and you send me an email and tell me that, I'll give you your money back. Because if I don't help you get better at poker, I do not want or deserve your money. But we have literally thousands of students who love the content. They've learned a lot. We've helped them get better at poker, and they're still members. So there you go. If you do not like the work, you don't have to pay for the work. We're not trying to gouge you. Like I said, $1 and change per day, right? We're spending literally many, many thousands of dollars per month on content. Mid 5 figures a month on content. And, well, we got to pay for that somehow, right? So anyway, here are your payment options. Someone said, are we giving discounts on the monthly membership? No, we're making the annual discounts so much cheaper that it's honestly kind of It's like a no-brainer to get the yearly membership. You'll make so much more than the cost as a student. Yeah. I mean, look, like I said, if you're playing poker at all, if you play one $100 buy-in poker tournament per month, if you go from breaking even to winning at 50% ROI, which many students have done, you make $50 a month instead of nothing. What's $50 a month worth for you? Well, we're only charging you $39 for the 3-year membership. And think of the value, right? That's if you play one tournament at $100 a month. If you're playing a $100 tournament every 3 days, I mean, goodness gracious, now you're just absolutely printing. How can you guarantee that you'll be able to consistently deliver new and helpful content for 3 years? Well, we've only been at it for the last, when did I start this? When did I start producing content? 2004? So I've only been doing this for 16 years. We're not like the people who get into poker and then try to get rich quick and then they quit because they realize, look, I'm not getting rich from this. I'm making money on it, but I'm not getting rich. I do this because I like doing it. I enjoy helping all of you succeed at poker because it's fun. It's enjoyable. Poker's an amazing hobby, an amazing job, and I want to help you enjoy that. That's what makes me happy. I'm not like hopping from one popular fad to the next, as many people do, because I'm telling you, they're trying to get rich quick, and I'm not really trying to get rich quick. I'm trying to get rich slow. Just like in poker, right? Essentially, work hard, put in lots of time, put in lots of volume, help people get better at the game, and you will be rewarded in the long term. That's what we're doing here. So anyway, I've only been doing it 14 years. If you trust me to put in another 3, guess that's on you. I even make you a deal. If I quit, I'll give you a refund. How about that? So there you go. What more do you want from me? If I quit between now and 3 years from now, you'll get a refund. Okay. Let's make it prorated in case I die or something. If I happen to die between now and 3 years, and I've been doing it for 2 years and 6 months, let my wife keep that money, and we'll give you a 6-month refund. All right? How's that for fair? What else do we have here? Poker Coaching Premium members get instant access to 75 poker courses. Look at all these courses you get. Mastering GTO's Short Stacked Play by Michael Acevedo. Lots and lots of content there. Mastering High Roller Final Tables. We have a lot of content by other content creators, by the way. Let's just go through some. Bill Helmuth, love him or hate him. He discusses his World Series of Poker bracelet win recently. What else do we have? Heads Up Secrets. We go through lots of matches featuring many of the best players in the world. Also, we have content by Evan Jarvis here. We have Bubble Play by Scott Clements. Oh my gosh, Scott Clements is an absolute beast. We have Winning My First WPT by the late Mike Sexton. We went through his WPT win for about 5 hours. All this is just included in Poker Coaching Premium, by the way. Tuning Into Tells by Zach Elwood, the Tells expert. We have cash game content here. Lots of stuff here. We have Information Dominance by Ed Miller. You all may know Ed Miller. He has fantastic books on poker. We also have some mindset stuff down here by Dr. Tricia Cardner, Elliot Rowe, and Jared Tendler. Elliot Rowe has become the mindset expert in poker, and we have stuff here. All at pokercoaching.com, just included in premium. Just included, because, why not? So anyway, all that's here. Do you think a 3-year standard membership would be worth it for a beginner? Yes. I mean, the standard membership is $199 or $3. How much is this? Oh my gosh, this is like, I can't even do the math. This is like 20 cents a day or 30 cents a day. Is it worth 30 cents a day to study poker for even like 10 or 15 minutes if you're just going to be a recreational player? Yeah, it's worth 20 or 30 cents to get good, high-level content from world-class players and coaches. Can't even do the math. It's like so cheap. I'm going to have a talk with my team. It's too cheap for that. That's too cheap. Looking forward to the Bert and Michael webinar tonight. Yeah, Draft Ganger and Michael Acevedo are doing a webinar tonight where they're going to be going through more of that $10,000 buy-in win. I'm pretty sure that's what they're going over. It's the best value out there. I mean, look, I do my best to try to be very responsive to all of you, but I also try to give you a fair deal. If you don't think $1 and change per day for high-level poker coaching from my curated pros is worth $1 and change per day, I'm not your guy. Simple as that. And that's okay. There are other people out there who you can learn from. There are other good training sites out there that I recommend to other people sometimes because we do have only No Limit Hold'em content. We're considering branching into PLO, but No Limit Hold'em's our main game. If you want mixed game content, we're not for you. If you want PLO content, we're not for you. If you want, I don't know, everything pertaining to No Limit we have. But anyway, that's that. Is a tournament course available in the standard membership? No, it is in the premium membership. As we see here, benefits. Tournament Masterclass is not included in Standard. Same thing with the Cash Game Masterclass. These are included in Premium, though. Some people asking, can you sign up for 1 month and then cancel? Yeah. If you sign up for 1 month, we don't charge any upsell fee. I mean, I know a lot of other training sites out there, they want you to pay like $500 up month and then $500 up front and then like $100 a month. Just $100 a month. I mean, I'm not worried about all of you coming in here and getting the content for a month. I'm okay with that. It's not going to offend me. So yeah, you can pay $100, well, $99 a month for Poker Coaching Premium. Go through, binge the content like mad, and then cancel. It's all okay. I don't have a problem with that. It's not going to offend me. So that's that. That's it all. That's all I have today. Anyone who loves Poker Premium is a steal. Yeah. There's this idea in business that if you just drastically overproduce, or gosh, my brain's not working, go figure. If you over-deliver, that's it. If you drastically over-deliver, you can't really go too wrong. And it may cost me more money, because like, to be fair, look, we produce so much content, I can barely get through all of it. And that's like kind of my job, right? And understand that you may have the problem of information overload. When you sign up to Poker Coaching, if it's not clear where you want to go already, like say, you play cash games, so you're going to go to the Cash Game Masterclass immediately. But if you don't know where to go, send me an email. Don't make it a whole essay, but send me an email with a paragraph or two about you and the situation you're in poker, and I'll direct you to some content that'll be useful. If you have any questions about specific spots, again, just go to the Classes tab if you're a premium member and type in, I don't know, check raising or turn or tells or whatever, and the content on that will come right up. So send me an email. I mean, I'm happy to hear from you. I'm happy to direct you to whatever content you need to help you succeed, because we have a lot of content. It's kind of like if you signed up to Netflix and you thought, all right, I'm going to get through all the content here on Netflix. Hate to break it to you. It's not going to work. You're not going to get through all the content on Netflix. You're not going to get through all the content on Poker Coaching. We have so much at this point that's just been made over the last year or two, because we're putting out literally, hours and hours of content every single day for all of you. So that's it. I've been rambling on for a while. Hope you enjoyed this. Check it out, pokercoaching.com/Black Friday. Let's see. How do I turn this stuff off? Let's see. I don't know how to delete this thing. There we go. Oh, did I just delete the wrong thing? I think I did. Did I? Ah, I did. I'm naked. All right. Smart selection. Here we go. Look at this naked overlay. Look how jerry-rigged it is, huh? We're a real professional operation. To be fair, I thought this webinar was 3 hours later today. So anyway, there it is. Check it out. Pokercoaching.com/Black Friday. Hope you enjoyed this today. If you like this video, click like, click subscribe, share it with your friends. I would appreciate it. That goes a long way to helping me. Understand, like I said, we pay many thousands of dollars a month. I'm trying to think, what is my actual expenses a month for this site? $75K a month, give or take. It's not cheap. It's not cheap. Fortunately, we have a lot of members who help me pay for it. But happy to keep working for all of you. Oh, did I mention we have an app? Let me show you this real quick. How do I do this? How do I do this easily? We have a poker coaching app. You can access the vast majority of the content online, by the way. We have these GTO pre-flop charts. These took forever to make. They cost me a bunch of money. Might as well show you since it cost me a bunch of money. Essentially, as you see here, you see this Pio Solver chart? Actually, it's Munker Solver image. We have thousands of these ranges. And at the bottom, you can select the specific scenario you want. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to show it to you on the website. Let's see. Give me just a second. I'll pull it up for you. Let's see. Screen capture. Here we go. Go to pokercoaching.com. Let me show you this real quick. All this stuff's available for you in the app, by the way. Go to pokercoaching.com. Click on Tools. Look at all these tools we have for you. Click on GTO Preflop Charts. All right, here we go. You can use this on your phone. Obviously, don't use it while you're in a hand. It's a little bit too big here. Let's see if I can make it smaller. All right, take a look at this. Essentially, enter whatever scenario you want to enter. Let's say what the blind, say how many big blinds you have. Let's say you have 40 big blinds. Let's say the position is the low jack seat. Okay? Oh, please function properly, site. Please function properly, site. It's going to go slow on me now, probably because we're streaming. Okay, here we go. Raise first in. This is what we're doing. Let's say we want to discuss versus or raise. Normally it goes substantially faster than this. Click under the gun +1. Let's say under the gun raised. And now it's going to spit out this image. Oh, I'm on the admin site. That's why it's giving me problems. Can you all see that at the top of the page? Yeah, whatever. All right. So here is what you would do in this scenario. Admin site goes slower than a public site because we have to be able to edit all this stuff. So anyway, we have this scenario where it'll spit out charts for essentially any scenario you are in. There's a site out there. It charges $499 for just this program, just so you know. And anyway, just included in Poker Coaching Premium. So as we see here, it tells you what to do with your whole range. And you can go through, select like literally any spot. Imagine a spot in poker, it'll come right up. And we have these GTO charts available for you that you can use like at the poker table. I'm telling you, like, say you know you're going to be under the gun or whatever, pull out the chart, look at the chart, put chart down, make the play. And then you won't screw up. Anyway, that's just available. That's just part of it. That's just included. Lots of stuff is just included, you know? At the end of the day, if I include enough stuff, it's going to become blatantly obvious to you that if you play poker, you need to be a Poker Coaching member. So that's it. Check it out, pokercoaching.com/Black Friday. Thank you again to all of you for being here today. I appreciate it. Like I said, if you like this, well, click like, click subscribe. We're going to be adding additional charts. We have all sorts of additional charts we are going to run. We're going to have all sorts of stuff coming up in the near future. Can we mention the Discord channel? Yeah, we have a vibrant Discord channel where Monday, Wednesday, Friday, they actually have a study session ran by community leader Louis Philippe. They do a study session Monday, Wednesday, Friday where a bunch of students get together, discuss new content, and improve their skills. That's just there. That's part of it. Pre-COVID, we were actually doing a decent amount of backing of members where essentially we just buy them into poker tournaments because I realize everybody doesn't have $500 to go play a poker tournament, but you'd like to. And, we're happy to back members who are in there working. I can see what you all are doing in the site. If you're going through the quizzes, going through the classes, and participating, well, maybe throw you $500 or $1,000 to go play a poker tournament. Because, hey, why not, right? So we do that. We're going to be picking that up as soon as live poker gets back. But it looks like it's coming back slowly but surely. We may just start throwing money into people online. So anyway, all sorts of stuff we have available. I just turned off the screen. Anyway, we have the tools, community tab. We have courses, the in-depth courses. We have hand history reviews. Another new feature we've been doing at Poker Coaching Premium is if you're a Poker Coaching Premium member, email me a hand history and I'll review it for you. We actually just started this a few weeks ago. Let's see how many I've gone through. I've gone through, oh my gosh, there's a bunch. 52 so far. I've gone through 52 hands so far. They take me 5 or 10 minutes each. What's that? 6 hours of my life I've spent reviewing hand histories. Just because, why not? I'm happy to help the students. So send in hand histories. Don't send me a bunch. Send me 1 or 2. Be respectful of my time and everybody else's. But if you're a premium member, send me a hand history. I'm happy to review it every month or whatever you think is reasonable. So it's just one more feature, right? Is the Discord available for all members? Yeah, Discord is available for all members. Anyway, that's all I have. If you don't want this, that's okay. If you play poker, though, and you actually want to succeed at poker, this is the fast track. I understand that if you study on your own without actually getting any sort of structured learning and you play a lot of poker, you'll probably get decent over time. But I learned a long time ago to get good at anything quickly, it's a no-brainer to get educational coaching because that essentially takes all the experience that coach has and gives it distilled to you in exactly what you need. And we have a bunch of coaches at Poker Coaching who are here to help you. So that's me for today. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, click like, click subscribe. If you have a poker friend, I know you mostly try to beat your poker friends, but if you have a particularly bad poker friend who may quit because they're so bad, send them this. They'll get a little bit better. And then they'll improve in the game and they'll keep playing with you. But anyway, hope you enjoyed this. If you liked this, click like and subscribe again. Share it with your friends. Thank you very much for watching. I realize you could be doing all sorts of things. If you signed up right now, do me a favor. Go watch some of the tournament masterclass and send me an email. I see every single email that comes through. Send me an email to support@pokercoaching.com and let me know what you think. If you see any room for improvement on the site, send me an email. Let me know. I want to get Poker Coaching to becoming the one-stop shop so that you need nothing else when it comes to poker in order to improve your skills and master the game. So, stay in touch. I like to hear from you. Good luck in your games. Have a